Sari Mitnick, and this is Seamwork Radio, where we tell stories about the surprising ways that sewing impacts our lives. Hey everybody, welcome to episode number 35. So today we're going to talk about a fun technique for planning out your sewing. We're going to cover what the rule of 3 outfits is, and Haley's going to share how she's used it to plan some projects in a really simple and accessible way. So last week, we were talking a lot about prioritization and prioritizing your projects. And Haley, you posted this method in the community a while ago, so I wanted to talk about it a little bit today because I thought it might help people maybe when they're stuck on planning with a technique they could use. So this whole technique was inspired by an article that we had in Seamwork Magazine by Michelle Calistro-Brown, and we'll link to that in the show notes. But the article is called Pinpoint Your Style While Minimizing Your Stash. And here's a quote from the article, and that's kind of what inspired this whole thing. She said, "Whatever you're making, write down 3 outfits you can construct with that piece. 3 outfits, that's it. If you do this exercise for every single piece you make over time, you'll end up with a circular wardrobe of clothes that all complement each other." That's such a cool idea.
Yeah, I was really inspired when I read this article, and that's what kind of like inspired me to implement this planning process in my own wardrobe.
Yeah, it's such a simple way, I think, to go about it. It just seems really practical and lightweight, I guess.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about how you used it specifically, Haley.
Yeah. So what inspired, I read this article and at that moment in time, I was like daydreaming about a pink pair of pants that I really wanted to add to my wardrobe. And so I just was like, you know what? I'm just going to draw out 3 outfits that I could wear with these like dream pink pants that I had in my head. So I got out my body model croquis that I use. I drew my dream pink pants and then just started kind of iterating different outfit combinations that I could create using these pants kind of as like the central like showcase piece in the collection. And I just thought that it was such a cool, easy way to create kind of a micro collection for yourself. For me, I really like to have like these statement pieces and build like outfits around them. That's like a style that really works for my personal style. So it just really resonated with me. And I found it really effective. It really inspired me to like make the pants. They no longer fit me because I made them like a few months after I had my baby. I have to like go and like refashion them now. But it really inspired me to like actually make the pants because then I could see the possibilities, see how it was going to fit into my wardrobe. And it just, I think it's a really great idea. So
it seems really helpful for those things that you really love, but you're not really sure how you would wear them or if they would go with other stuff that you have.
Yeah, totally. It's great for kind of auditioning pieces that might be like a little like atypical for you. And, you may find that they really don't fit, and that's okay. It's better to spend a little bit of time sketching and planning to realize it doesn't work than to waste the time and resources on a project that ultimately is just going to languish in your closet.
Yeah. I'm thinking about how this would work with my own systems, such as they are. I mentioned in the last episode, I think it was the last episode, on prioritizing your queue, about how I use Pinterest to kind of organize projects that I want to make. And I have another Pinterest board that is more like things I could put together from stuff I already have and wear a lot. So like outfits that you could build around, like blue jeans, for example, that I really like. And I find that really helpful just to kind of draw ideas when I'm planning something new to sew and thinking about how it could go with some of these kind of basics in my wardrobe. So I feel like those 2 ideas would go really well together if you had just had a list of like your favorite basics that you wear a lot.
Yeah.
Fine.
Totally. And if you're a person like me who's like totally just like really into blue jeans, and there's nothing wrong with that. It can also be really good for kind of breaking you out of that rut of always wearing the same pair of like high-waisted Levi's with every me made top, really like thinking outside of the blue jean box, which I find really helpful for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a cool way to kind of experiment. I feel like it might help you to buy less stuff too, because you are more aware of what you already have and how you could use it and put together new things from what you already have rather than it's like a way to be creative without just having that, acquiring more things.
Yeah, and I've done it in a more formal way where I will actually sit down and draw the outfits. And I also just do it like kind of mentally when I'm contemplating a new project. And I've been finding since I've implemented this practice, just like Michelle says in her quote, that it you start to create this more circular wardrobe where all of the elements really complement each other. So great for someone who maybe doesn't have the time to do something big like design your wardrobe, but wants to create things more intentionally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Well, why don't you walk us through the steps that you went through and maybe just kind of give us an outline of how you might go about this if you want to try it out?
Yeah, definitely. So the first step is you want to pick a pattern that you really want to make. For me, I find it particularly exciting and inspiring to pick a statement piece, but you don't need to. It could be a wardrobe basic as well. So pick the pattern you want to make. Think about the pattern itself, the silhouette, all of that stuff. Also consider fabric, the season you're going to wear it. That's going to help you have more information for when you start kind of building your outfits. Number two, you want to make a list of your preferences and considerations. So maybe this pink pair of pants, I know that I'm going to want to wear into the office, but also have some more like relaxed outfits that I'd want to wear on the weekend. Maybe if I went to like the nursery to go pick up some plants or go grab a cup of coffee. So make these kind of preferences. And what do those things mean for you? So if I want to wear it on the weekends, it needs to like, have some like lightweight, breathable, layerable options for when I'm going kind of indoors, outdoors. Really like dive into that kind of stuff because it's going to help you create more practical outfits and not just things that like seem really amazing and cool in a dream world. And then draw these outfits. Like I mentioned earlier, you don't necessarily need to draw if drawing doesn't bring you joy. You could mentally list them. You can get out your notebook and just create a little list. But for me, drawing helps me to envision proportion and color a little bit better. You could also probably do this with a tool like Pinterest, just like kind of compiling inspiration as well, if you want kind of a happy medium between the two. And then as a bonus, you can repeat these three steps with a second pattern. So let's say I built 3 outfits around these pink pants. And through those outfits, I found, you know what? I really want to make like a linen jacket as well. Then make 3 outfits around this linen jacket, and you're going to start to find that you have this very circular mini collection. And this whole process can be kind of copy and pasted continuously to start honing in your personal style and creating a wardrobe that's super cohesive. I just think that it's a really great, simple tool for people who are interested in wardrobe planning but need something a little bit more lightweight for their lifestyle or mental capacity in that moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was just thinking that the free planner that we have would be really helpful for this because you could
Mm-hmm.
we have pages in there that have, the space for you to kind of design a whole look, a whole outfit where you can write some notes about it. So if you want to check that out, we'll put a link to that in the show notes too. It's totally free for you to download.
Yeah, I think another tool that really helped me when I was doing this personally was using the My Body Model Croquis. If for those of you who aren't familiar, My Body Model is a super cool company. You go on their website, it's really, really fun to do, and you input a bunch of really comprehensive measurements taken directly from your body, and it takes all of that, does some kind of magic, and spits out a croquis that looks like you. And I think this is really cool when you're playing with proportion and trying to build outfits. It's one thing to kind of imagine it. It's a totally different thing to see those proportions on your actual body so you can build. I don't really subscribe to like flattering, unflattering. I think you just like do you, wear what you want to wear, but see if it feels good to you, if those proportions are proportions that make you feel really good. Because I was finding like, oh yeah, with this particular pair of pants, I think that I'm really going to mostly want to wear things that are a more cropped length, that are like, kind of navel length tops with this and longer outer layers. It just really helped me to nail down those nitty gritty details. So I was like buying enough fabric and I was going into these projects with a really concrete plan already.
Yeah. Yeah. Another thing that I've done for the croquis is, before my body model was around, is just to trace a picture of myself. So you could just take a picture of yourself with your phone or whatever on a plain background, print it out, and then just trace the outline just to kind of get an idea of your proportions and then draw on that. It was an idea that was actually, I included it in the Colette Sewing Handbook years ago. I think that's been really helpful too, because I have a short waist, so my proportions are not like a typical croquis that you would just, find on the internet or whatever. Those are usually like fashion model croquis that look nothing like any human really. But
yeah,
I found that really helpful just to kind of get an idea and recognize what makes me feel more comfortable and what makes me feel like less, it doesn't really feel like me,
Yeah. And I think that's what this whole process is really about, is really reflecting on how you're going to wear something, what's going to make you comfortable, what's going to work for you and your lifestyle, and really connecting all of those dots together.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. Well, thank you for that, Haley. So just to recap, the steps that Haley just went through are to pick a pattern that you really want to make, and then make a list of whatever your preferences and your own personal considerations are as you're starting this process. And then draw 3 outfits, or you could use Pinterest or, make little mini mood boards or however you want to do it, but just kind of create your concepts for these 3 outfits to build around your pattern of choice. And then if you want, as a bonus, you can repeat the process with another pattern, and then you have kind of like a little mini collection, and you can kind of just continue building your wardrobe from there. I think this process is so cool because it's so simple and so easy and lightweight and doesn't require a lot of like really time intensive work in order to create something that you're actually going to wear and get a lot of use out of.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a game changer and particularly useful for those statement pieces. Also, I forgot to mention earlier, we hear a lot from people who struggle to figure out how to integrate prints into their wardrobe. This is a really great tool when you're trying to explore prints a little bit more in depth and use those more in your sewing.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think that can be a little bit hard for people, especially if you're really drawn to louder or brighter or, really colorful prints. It can be a little bit tricky to figure out how you're actually going to wear them.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. All right. Well, if you want to learn more about this, we're going to link the article Pinpoint Your Style While Minimizing Your Stash by Michelle in the show notes or down below. And you can take a look at that. It's a great article, and it goes into a bit more depth about some of these ideas. And that was our inspiration for this podcast episode. So if you liked this episode, please leave us a review and let us know. We super, super appreciate all of our reviews. It's a great way to let us know how we're doing. And it also helps other people to find the podcast. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever podcast platform you use, go ahead and leave us a review and let us know what you think. So that's it for today. We'll see you guys later.
See ya.
See you next week. Seamwork Radio is brought to you by the Seamwork community, and you can find us at seamwork.com. If you have a story to share, send us an email at podcast@seamwork.com. We'd especially love to hear stories from those whose experiences often get left out of the conversation, whether because of race, gender identity, sexual orientation, disability, age, or any other reason. Again, that's podcast@seamwork.com. You can find us on Instagram at Seamwork and Seamwork Video on YouTube. We'd love to invite you to join us at seamwork.com. We have an amazing community there, as well as new sewing patterns and classes each month for members. Podcast listeners can get 50% off our unlimited membership, which gets you unlimited downloads from our library of over 150 wardrobe-building sewing patterns. Just visit seamwork.com/go/podcast50. You can also find that link in the show notes. And if you like this podcast, please consider giving us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or the podcast app of your choice. It really helps other people to find the show so they can hear these stories too. Thanks for joining us, and we'll be back with you soon. I'm Sari Mitnick, and this is Seamwork Radio.